Chapter 5 The Means. We must now come to the means. The means of bringing about communism which the Buddha propounded were quite definite. The means can be decided into three parts. Part 1 consisted in observing the Panchasilas. The Enlightenment gave birth to a new gospel which contains the key to the solution of the problem which was haunting him. The foundation of the new gospel is the fact that the world was full of misery and unhappiness. It was a fact not merely to be noted, but to be regarded as being the first and foremost in any scheme of salvation. The recognition of this fact the Buddha made the starting point of his gospel. To remove this misery and unhappiness was to him the aim and object of the gospel, if it is to serve any useful purpose. Asking what could be the causes of this misery, the Buddha found that there could be only two. A part of the misery and unhappiness of man was the result of his own misconduct. To remove this cause of misery, he preached the practice of Panchasila. The Panchasila comprised the following observations: to abstain from destroying or causing destruction of any living thing, to abstain from stealing, that is, acquiring or keeping by fraud or violence the property of another, to abstain from telling untruth, to abstain from lust, to abstain from intoxicating drinks. The other part of the misery and unhappiness in the world was, according to the Buddha, the result of man's inequity towards man. How was this inequity to be removed? For the removal of man's inequity towards man, the Buddha prescribed the Noble Eightfold Path. The elements of the Noble Eightfold Path are right views, that is, freedom from superstition; right aims, high and worthy of the intelligent and earnest men; right speech, that is, kindly, open, truthful; right conduct, that is, peaceful, honest, and pure; right livelihood, that is, causing hurt or injury to no living being; right perseverance in all the other seven; right mindfulness, that is, with a watchful and active mind; and finally, right contemplation, that is, earnest thought on the deep mysteries of life. The aim of the Noble Eightfold Path is to establish on earth the kingdom of righteousness, and thereby banishing sorrow and unhappiness from the face of the world. The third part of the gospel is the doctrine of Nibbana. The doctrine of Nibbana is an integral part of the doctrine of the Noble Eightfold Path. Without Nibbana, the realization of the Eightfold Path cannot be accomplished. The doctrine of Nibbana tells what are the difficulties in the way of the realization of the Eightfold Path. The chief of these difficulties are 10 in number. The Buddha called them the 10 asavas, fetters or hindrances. The first hindrance is the delusion of self. So long as a man is wholly occupied with himself, chasing after every bauble that he vainly thinks will satisfy the cravings of his heart, there is no noble path for him. Only when his eyes have been opened to the fact that he is but a tiny part of a measureless whole, only when he begins to realize how impermanent a thing his temporary individuality is, can he even enter upon this narrow path. The second is doubt and indecision. When a man's eyes are open to the great mystery of existence, the impermanence of every individuality, he is likely to be assailed by doubt and indecision as to his action. To do or not to do, after all, my individuality is impermanent. Why do anything are questions which make him indecisive or inactive. But that will not do in life. He must make up his mind to follow the teacher, to accept the truth, and to enter on the struggle, or he will get no further. The third is dependence on the efficacy of rites and ceremonies. No good resolutions, however firm, will lead to anything unless a man gets rid of ritualism, of the belief that any outward acts, any priestly powers, and holy ceremonies can afford him an assistance of any kind. It is only when he has overcome this hindrance that men can be said to have fairly entered upon the stream and has a chance sooner or later to win a victory. The fourth consists of the bodily passions. The fifth is ill will towards other individuals. The sixth is the suppression of the desire for a future life with a material body, and the seventh is the desire for a future life in an immaterial world. The eighth hindrance is pride, and ninth is self-righteousness. These are failings which it is most difficult for men to overcome, and to which superior minds are peculiarly liable. A pharisaical contempt for those who are less able and less holy than themselves. The 10th hindrance is ignorance. When all other difficulties are conquered, this will even remain, the thorn in the flesh of the wise and good, the last enemy and the bitterest foe of man. Nibbana consists in overcoming these hindrances to the pursuit of the Noble Eightfold Path. The doctrine of the Noble Eightfold Path tells what disposition of the mind which a person should sedulously cultivate. The doctrine of Nibbana tells of the temptation or hindrance which a person should earnestly overcome if he wishes to trade along with the Noble Eightfold Path. The fourth part of the new gospel is the doctrine of paramitas. The doctrine of paramitas inculcates the practice of 10 virtues in one's daily life. These are those 10 virtues: panya, sila, nekama, dana, virya, khanti, sacha, aditthana, metta, upekha. Panya, or wisdom, is the light that removes the darkness of avidya, moha, or nescience. The panya requires that one must get all his doubts removed by questioning those wiser than himself, associate with the wise, and cultivate the different arts and sciences which help to develop the mind. Sila is moral temperament, the disposition not to do evil and the disposition to do good, to be ashamed of doing wrong. To avoid to do evil for fear of punishment is sila. Sila means fear of doing wrong. Nekama is renunciation of the pleasures of the world. Dana means the giving of one's possessions, blood and limbs, and even one's life for the good of the others without expecting anything in return. Virya is right endeavor. It is doing with all your might, with thought never turning back, whatever you have undertaken to do. Khanti is forbearance. Not to meet hatred by hatred is the essence of it. For hatred is not appeased by hatred. It is appeased only by forbearance. Sacha is truth. An aspirant for Buddha never speaks a lie. His speech is truth and nothing but truth. Aditthana is resolute determination to reach the goal. Metta is fellow feeling extended to all beings, friend and foe, man and beast. Upekha is detachment as distinguished from indifference. It is a state of mind where there is neither like nor dislike, remaining unmoved by the result and yet engaged in the pursuit of it. These virtues one must practice to his utmost capacity. That is why they are called paramitas, states of perfection. Such is the gospel the Buddha enunciated as a result of his enlightenment to end the sorrow and misery in the world. It is clear that the means adopted by the Buddha were to convert a man by changing his moral disposition to follow the path voluntarily. The means adopted by the communists are equally clear, short, and swift. They are violence and dictatorship of the proletariat. The communists say that these are the only two means of establishing communism. The first is violence. Nothing short of it will suffice to break up the existing system. The other is dictatorship of the proletariat. Nothing short of it will suffice to continue the new system. It is now clear what are the similarities and differences between Buddha and Karl Marx. The differences are about the means. The end is common to both.